I want to talk just a little bit about specifically about our Take Back the Turf strategy, commercial, institutional, industrial, and municipal functional turf conversion strategy, Take Back the Turf. This is a strategy that was developed by Flower to the People in conjunction with Green Gardens Group, Dwelling on Carbon, which is a nonprofit based in San Diego, California, looking for low cost carbon sequestration tools for urban dwellers, landscape-based tools for urban dwellers, and doing the science behind proving what works and what doesn't. And Green Cover, which is one of the nation's largest seed providers for cover crops to regenerative agriculture, actually really in the world, but in the US, they're based in Nebraska. And so this team has come together to create the strategy. The goals are essentially the reduction of water in the landscape, showing this improved infiltration rate and also water holding capacity, eliminating fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides in the landscape, improving our carbon cycle and sequestration, making lawns fun again, boosting urban biodiversity really on all levels, and using the existing equipment, technology, and workforce available to us now with minimal training and keeping these installation and maintenance costs to a minimum. The way we're doing it is keeping the grass in place. We're using a very highly vetted process of turf overseeding, essentially preparation and overseeding. The mix that we have developed is a highly biologically diverse seed mix. It's broadcast, so no drill presses needed. Regionally native seed is included. Perennials are designed to dominate the system. It's irrigated prescriptively to a water budget, meaning we are applying only so much water, and whatever grows, grows. That is the pilot is all about that. We're using random mowing patterns to allow people to use the site, and we are doing signage that encourages citizen science. So we're currently looking for 1 to 5 acre commercial, institutional, and municipal sites with irrigated turf grass and the following characteristics, and I'll run through them. It's a 2-year pilot study. We've already put in place 5 acres in 3 in Colorado and 1 on commercial site in San Juan Capistrano, California. And then we have 1 acre of residential installations in the San Diego area. And that is phase 1 of our project. It utilized a seed mix that had 60 different species from 15 different families. The 2025 phase 2 of our project, we are targeting 100 acres. We're calling it the 100-acre challenge in 1 to 5 acre parcels. The seed mix is a 100 seed species mix, and it comes from 25 families. And so we're really concentrating on creating vast biodiversity that will perform in all regions of the country. So what we're looking for is essentially a site that has irrigated turf grass. We can isolate the water use data to the particular site, and that data can be provided to us. So that's an important aspect because we are tracking the water use on the site. It should have an overhead irrigation system in reasonably good working condition. There are parts of the country where the sites will not be irrigated, and we will consider non-irrigated turf grass in water-rich environments, but certainly in the arid West and in the South, we are limiting this to irrigated turf grass. The site needs to be accessible to the general public for pre-planned events, and it doesn't need to be accessible at all times, but we do require that the property owner puts on 4 human impact events per year, and we'll talk more about that in a second. And so for those events, there needs to be able to have people on the site. The site needs to be professionally managed, so either by a in-house facilities management crew or a farmed out um, professional landscape manager. Either way is fine. We need to have access to those professionals. They need to be trained in a 60-minute online training and essentially certified in this process. The details of how to install and manage it. It's relatively simple, but it does need to be confirmed that they understand what we're doing. The maintenance contractors need to sign an agreement with the property owners to not apply fertilizers or pesticides or herbicides during the course of the 2-year period. That's a really important part of it. It impacts all of our biodiversity indices and soil health indices. Participation and support of the local water supplier or stormwater and watershed management agency is required. We understand that these types of pilots, where we're gathering a lot of data, need to be in the context of multiple stakeholders. And so in order to roll out such an ambitious project and get the data and analyze the data and get responses from agencies that need the analysis, we need to have them involved from the very beginning, so that we can design the tests and continuously improve the pilot over the 2-year process. The property owner needs to be able to cost share, in other words, pay for an installation that currently ranges between $3 and $5 per square foot of area converted. So whether that is done all on the back of the particular property owner, or it's a grant written village of support. Either way, doesn't really matter to us. The installations, as I said, are costing between $3 to $5. They need to be willing to share all of the installation cost data with us so that we can analyze that. And the yeah, so, and we will work with each site in order to help them to get the resources necessary in order to make the changes. Um, and so that's the minimum requirement cost wise. One designated point of contact at the property owner. We need to have a clear line of communication and someone that is going to help us to do reporting and also to be our eyes on the ground and help us to organize events and meetings and all of that. And then finally, there needs to be a clear approvals process. So if there are going to be alterations to the project over the course of 2 years, we need to know in advance that the property owner has a clear approvals process and that they are approved to participate in the 2-year study. We want the study to begin between January 20th and May 30th of 2025. And really our expectation is that we would be doing seeding and installation in the west and in the south in the earlier part of the year, moving eastward and moving further out in the timeline as we do that moving eastward. The project ends in spring of 27. The data that we need to collect really falls into 4 different buckets. Of course, we have this water conservation data. We're going to be, as I mentioned, prescriptively irrigating the landscape to a predetermined water budget. Those water budgets are going to be different for each of the landscapes. And that's determined by the property owner and by the water provider in the area. We're going to be irrigating to as steep a water budget as the water supplier wants to test. The irrigation events occur no more frequently than once per week after establishment. And we gather data monthly, and it's compared to the budget. And we advise the property owner on whether they're sticking to the budget or not. Soil health data is being gathered. Before the seeding, we are gathering infiltration, compaction, carbon, PLFA, which is really like a proxy for determining soil microbiome components, slate tests. All of that are being done before the seeding, and then they're conducted annually at the end of the first year and at the end of the second year. The goal really is to train some local people to gather more frequent data. So we would love to have infiltration data and so forth that is happening on a more regular basis. And we would love to work with the property owners and the stakeholders to have students or citizen science or master gardeners or really any group that's interested in this to be involved in conducting more extensive testing, and we're happy to help analyze that and include that in the study and so forth. The third bucket is biodiversity indices. We are interested in determining the plant biodiversity at germination and throughout all the different growth cycles for each of the 2 years. We're looking at insect, avian, and animal diversity, mostly through citizen science. And this is evolving, and every single property owner that's come to us and their stakeholders have ideas about this, and so it's continuously improving. And one of the great things about this pilot overall is that because it's being rolled out across the country and it is a uniform seed mix and it's a uniform strategy across the country, we're going to be able to actually use good ideas from different parts of the country and share that with everybody to find ways to improve both gathering the data and analyzing the data. Again, our goal is to train people to do more frequent data collection. And we also want to connect with national nonprofits that are doing massive biodiversity analysis. This is underway, and the more sites we have in the project, the more diversity of sites that we have in the project, the more stakeholders we have in the project, the higher the importance is of our being associated with someone like Ecdysis that's doing these massive biodiversity assessments, and the better our chances are of being drawn into one of these big national studies. So stay tuned on that. Community acceptance, that's the fourth bucket. It's probably the most elusive, but to us, it's one of the most interesting pieces here. We're going to be using QR codes on signage, polls, social media comments, and other ways to assess how the communities are viewing these, both the aesthetic quality of these landscapes and also whether or not these types of projects can be accepted within the community. We're very excited to be working with people that have their masters in social work and that are, particularly interested in this. And again, we become stronger with the stakeholders that come to the table for the pilot. We're very happy to work with developing more studies and more data gathering, and even particular data gathering at various sites depending on the interests of the stakeholders there. But this is the baseline that we're looking at. I can be reached at Pamela@flowertothepeople.com, and I'm happy to give more information to you. I know that there was one slide that didn't get put in here, and so I'll speak to it now, and that is, how do we get paid? So Flower to the People is putting together this strategy for the cost of the seed. Even though, so we deliver the predetermined seed mix into the strategy at a cost between 30 and 60 cents per square foot. What makes the difference? And that's included in that $3 to $6 price that we showed earlier, or $3 to $5 price that we showed earlier. What makes it 30 cents a square foot? What makes it 60 cents a square foot? Well, frankly, size of the site. The larger the site, the lower the price of the seed. It's that simple. And there are also some small logistics things that are in it, but predominantly it's about the size of the site, and that's the big driver. So If a site is almost an acre, it's going to be on the higher side. If a site is 5 acres, it's going to be on the lower side. Uh, and for that, the price of the seed, we are delivering all this other stuff that we've talked about. We work with each property owner. We have a scope of work that outlines all the details of what we will actually provide. But we're essentially the consultants on the project. We're there at the seeding. We're there doing the soil testing. We're consulting to the clients, showing them training them on how to manage and install the site, and then also how to assess it and how to provide that assessment to us so that we can analyze it. Each site gets its own web presence on which we are constantly posting the raw data for the other participants of the project, and then working with that data to analyze it and present it to the general public. So it's really a pretty in-depth study, and we would love your participation. So you can reach me at Pamela at flowertothepeople.com. And I don't know.